Okay, this is fun.
I never thought I'd be talking about the Roman Empire on this podcast, but here we go.
Okay. All right, so we decided with our scam series that we would go back in history and look at the first 2 recorded scams in history and do a little bit of a historical walk back.
Yeah, and it was a historical walk back, if
Yes.
I'm being honest.
All right, now first of all I want to apologise if we mispronounce any names. There's some pretty tricky names in all of this, and so we're going to do our best.
We'll try our best.
All right, so the first actual case that is historically recorded of a scam was actually in ancient Greece in the year 300 BC.
And it was an insurance fraud scam.
Yes, it was. So there was a Greek sea merchant by the name of Hegestratus. There, I got my
That was
first
a
one
good
out.
one. That was a good one.
Now you can continue.
All right, so what actually happened was the insurance fraud was around a policy known as a bottomry, which is effectively a loan with the agreement to pay it back once the cargo has been delivered.
Yeah.
So if the loan didn't get paid, the merchant ship and cargo would be repossessed. So they thought of a way to get around this.
Yeah, so Hegestratus, he had this plan that he would take his ship. So the ship was meant to be travelling from Syracuse to Athens, and it was meant to be with grain. I think it was corn, but some sort of grain. And his idea was to actually take an empty boat, no grain, and partway along the voyage actually sink the ship, which would mean that he would not have to pay back the loan because he wasn't not going to pay back the loan. That was his intention. He didn't have to give his ship back because it was already gone, and he would still have the grain and all of that, so he could then not only pocket the money from the loan, he would also be able to sell the grain again.
Now, this didn't go to plan.
It didn't go to plan at all, no. So, basically when his crew realised he was going to sink the ship, like he wasn't just going to sink it, he was actually going to drown all of them along with it, they didn't like it. So what did they do?
No, so they actually chased him off the ship, so they weren't very happy. And while this was all happening, he actually drowned in his attempt to escape. So he didn't do very well at all.
His insurance fraud didn't really work for him. Unfortunately for him, the co-captain of the ship was a guy called Xenothemis. I'm guessing that's how you say it. And when he arrived at Athens with an empty ship, it was not a great situation. Now, I don't know if he had anything to do with it, but I believe he must have known there was nothing much in the ship, but then he still managed to go to Athens, so maybe he didn't. I don't know. When he did get there, a legal battle pursued with the buyer, whose name was Protus, and although the historical records don't really tell us what happened as a result of that, this is basically known as the first insurance fraud ever recorded.
Yeah, that's right. So back in 300 BC, so a long, long time ago. An interesting story.
Yeah. And so now we're going to go on to the next one, and it's about the Roman Empire.
which is a hot topic at the moment.
And why is it a hot topic at the moment, Jay?
So there's basically been some viral TikTok videos and things on social media going around about girls and women discovering how much their boyfriends and husbands and, male partners think about the Roman Empire. And it's kind of blowing everybody's minds.
So apparently men think about the Roman Empire quite often, might be once a week, maybe up to 5 times a day.
And Joel is one of them.
Yeah.
Shout out to Joel. When we quizzed him, he admitted to thinking about the Roman
Roman Empire. We were
Empire.
laughing our heads off because we said, so do you think it? He goes, yeah, well, I was thinking about it this morning. And we're like, what the hell? And anyway, so just a little bit of history on that itself, because I find this fascinating. It started in September 2022 when a Swedish influencer by the name of Saskia Court shared some screenshot text with her partner where she was asking the question, and she was encouraging her followers to do the same, and apparently they were doing that. Now, most of this was in Swedish, so we can't actually understand what she was saying, but in August 2023, it went viral when a Swedish-based Roman reenactor by the name of Gaius Flavius referenced her post in a reel, so on Instagram. So what did it say on that reel?
Yeah, so the reel said, ladies, many of you do not realise how often men think about the Roman Empire. Ask your husband, boyfriend, father or brother, and you will be surprised by their answers.
And it has gone totally viral. This morning I actually Googled, I went onto TikTok and looked up the hashtag Roman Empire, and there's over 2.7 billion views.
It's a lot.
Yes.
It's a lot. And see, it's funny. I actually did a little bit of an experiment with my partner, Martin, last night as well, because I thought, right, I'm going to test this theory before we record the podcast. And I kind of said to him, so, you know, sounds like a bit of a dumb question, but do you know what the Roman Empire is, just out of curiosity? Yeah. Gave me a bit of a brief explanation. And I said, so do you ever think about the Roman Empire in your day-to-day life? And he goes, well, yeah, I do occasionally, because, you know, they invented concrete, and for a little bit of context, he's a concreter, so he must be out working, pouring concrete, thinking about the Roman Empire, and which I was surprised. If you do want to have a look, it will only go even more viral after like the last couple of, I think it was last week, but anyway, recently there was a skit on Saturday Night Live by Joseph Moama. How do you say his name? Jason Momoa.
Momoa.
That's it, Momoa.
Sorry. Aquaman. Anyway, he's done a skit on Saturday Night Live, which is very, very funny. So apparently the equivalent for boys is they think of dinosaurs, and for women it's astrology. So
which, I don't really think about astrology that much, to be honest.
Don't ever think about it. So, yeah. But anyway, so there you go. So the Roman Empire, what is it? We better find out. It's an ancient state. I mean, most people actually have heard of it, of course.
Yeah,
but,
of course.
Just actually trying to define it. It's an ancient state that is from the years 27 BCE. Now, BCE is before the Common Era. We always talk about BC being before Christ and AD after death, but it's actually before the Common Era, which is still the same amount of time, right? So 27 BCE to 476 CE. So it's quite a span of years. It's like 500 years.
Yeah, a long time. Long time.
And obviously, you know, the Roman Empire is known for developing all these things that men think about all the time. But this is actually, what we're talking about today is the first known real good scam that actually came from the Roman Empire. And this happened in the year 193 AD or CE, so 193 years after the death of Christ, or in the Common Era. And that year was known as the year of the five emperors, because there was a lot going on in the Roman Empire at that time.
Yeah, there sure was. So we did some research in the lead up to all of this. So we've actually become a little bit of some history buffs over here.
I'm learning about the Roman Empire.
Real
I've definitely been thinking about it this week.
So the start of the five emperors came when Pertinax, I believe that's how you say it, again, apologies for any mispronunciation, replaced Commodus. Now, Commodus was the son of Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah.
And he reigned from 177 to 192. And he was actually murdered on the 31st of December 192 by a wrestler who drowned him.
Yeah, so, I mean, if they didn't like someone, they got rid of you.
Yeah.
Marcus Aurelius is, the reason we've kept that in there is he's probably quite famous, and particularly among men. Like, they always talk about the Stoics, and so he's probably one of the more famous emperors out there. So he was quite a good emperor. He was known for being very courageous and doing lots of amazing things. But his son Commodus was actually apparently a real arsehole and no one liked him. So even though he reigned for like quite a few years, he was just not a nice man. He did some really bizarre things. So if you're into your Roman history, Roman Empire history, have a look at the shit that guy got up to, and you could probably understand why he was murdered by a wrestler on the 31st of December 1990 or 192.
192.
So then he was replaced by Pertinax.
Yeah, exactly right. Now, what also happened was a Praetorian Guard.
So the Praetorian Guards were the people who were put in charge of looking after the emperor. So they were like, you know, I guess like your, I don't know, the bodyguards sort of thing. They were quite powerful though. So being a Praetorian Guard was a very sort of distinguished thing to be. They obviously wielded a lot of power. But these are the people who actually are the scammers. So we'll get onto that. But yeah, so they were the people who basically Pertinax came into play because when someone died, it was either, a sort of, they found someone who was going to be their successor or whatever. Commodus, who replaced Marcus Aurelius, was his son, and he was the first one in the whole line of them that actually was related, and then became, because often it was like an adopted child or a stepchild or something like that. So when him being such a horrible man, they found Pertinax, who I'm not really sure of his history, but he was not related to Commodus at all. And he tried to kind of go back to the Marcus Aurelius sort of way of ruling, being a little bit less crazy maybe. But the Praetorian Guard didn't like the fact that he had imposed stricter military discipline on them. So then basically on the 28th of March in 193, around 200 to 300 of the Praetorian Guards rushed the palace because they were really cranky that they hadn't got paid as much as they were hoping to get paid. I think they also didn't really like the fact that they were being, strictly managed. And while Pertinax tried to reason with them and almost succeeded, one of the soldiers managed to strike him down and kill him.
Yeah, and I can imagine it would have been quite intimidating having 200 or 300 guards come running at you, in all honesty.
It just makes me think of the life of Brian every time I'm reading this. But anyway.
Just bizarre.
Yes, I mean, I'm sure it wasn't like the life of Brian. But anyway, yeah. So this is when the scam happened. So what happened?
Yeah, so this is where it gets a bit interesting. So the Praetorian Guards actually auctioned off the imperial title. So, it's a funny thing because it actually wasn't theirs to auction off.
That's
really.
why it was a scam.
Yeah, so it wasn't theirs to auction off. It's, you can't auction off something like that. Now, they hoped to get £1 billion in today's money for the auction. So a lot of money, a lot of money. Basically they were selling something that was not theirs to sell.
Yeah. So when they did do this auction, the highest bidder was a guy by the name of Didius Julianus. He offered 25,000 sesterces or whatever they are, I don't even know, their money for every soldier, which he outbid a guy by the name of oh gosh, this is such hard
Selfish.
Sulficus.
We'll go with that.
Yeah, who offered £20,000, 20,000 of these coins or whatever for every soldier. So basically Didius Julianus bought himself the emperorship. But what happened to him?
Yeah, exactly right. Now, the Senate actually didn't recognise his position. So it kind of, it was basically a government essentially, and the Senate didn't recognise the position, and a civil war kind of broke out, really.
Yeah.
So shit kind of hit the fan,
yes,
in all
definitely.
Honesty.
Yeah. So there were 3 rival generals who laid claim to the imperial throne, saying that, Didius didn't really have any sort of real ability to take that. And as Jade said, the civil war broke out, and the Praetorian Guard basically abandoned Didius and sided with this guy by the name of Septimus Severus, who ended up becoming the next emperor. And Didius was murdered on the 2nd of June 193.
Yeah, exactly right. So because he was murdered, his reign, which wasn't really an emperor, so it wasn't officially recognised, was from the 28th of March to the 2nd of June, so for a total of 66 days.
Yes, that's right. So, basically, that was the scam. The scam was the Praetorian Guards managed to sell something that didn't belong to them, make a shitload of money out of it, and then murder the guy that they sold it to.
Yeah, exactly right. Now, this scam is known as selling the Roman Empire, but really it wasn't the actual empire that was sold, it was the title or the position of emperor.
Yeah. Now, just if anyone did remember me saying that 193 was the year of 5 emperors. The first emperor was Pertinax, the second one was Didius Julianus, and then we had the replacement of Septimus Severus, and if you do your maths, that's only 3. But the reason that it was the year of 5 emperors was because he actually was a co-emperor with 2 other guys by the name of Carcerala and Greta, and Septimus Severus went on to reign until the 4th of February 211.
Plenty of tongue twisters in there.
Yes. So there you go. Now you've got a very good excuse to think about the Roman Empire.
And you know what the Roman Empire actually is.
Well, there's a whole lot of interesting stories. Actually, I must say, I really enjoy researching this. This is like this tiny little couple of month period of the Roman Empire that went for 500 years. There's some really good stuff on there. Just a shout out, by the way, I'm enjoying with this historical stuff that we're doing. One of the podcasts I'm really like listening to is one called Half-Assed History, and it's an Australian podcast. If you are into your history, I highly recommend that one.
Very interesting.
So I think that's it for today. But well, there you go. We talked about lots of things.
We sure have some things I never thought we'd talk about on the podcast, but we got our history on.
We definitely did.